disagreements about healthcare policy, but you don't shut the government down. You don't use your policy disagreements as leverage to not pay our troops, to not have essential services of government actually function. You don't say the fact that you disagree about a particular tax provision is an excuse for shutting down the people's government and all the essential services that come along with it. If you look at what Chuck Schumer has said in the past consistently, it's whatever our disagreements are, let's negotiate with them. Let's talk about them. Let's figure out a bipartisan solution, but you don't shut the government down. In other words, you don't put a gun to the American people's head and say, unless you do exactly what Senate and House Democrats want you to do, we're going to shut down your government. That's exactly what they're proposing out there. Now, we have to remember, they're very frustrated. They say that they're very frustrated about the fact that this negotiation has not taken place until today. But if you look at the original thing they did with this negotiation, it was a $1.5 trillion spending package, basically saying to the American people, we want to give massive amounts of money, hundreds of billions of dollars to illegal aliens for their health care, while Americans are struggling to pay their health care bills. That was their initial foray into this negotiation. We thought it was absurd. We told them it was absurd, and now they come in here saying that if you don't give us everything that we want, we're going to shut down the government. We think that's preposterous. We think it's totally unacceptable, and we think the American people are going to suffer because these guys won't do the right thing. Now, I want to make one final point here. You will hear a lot from Senate Democrats, from House Democrats about the fact that American health care policy is broken. Well, we know that American health care policy is broken. We've been trying to fix it for the 8 months that we've been in office, but every single thing that they accused about being broken about American health care is policy that Democrats have supported for the past decade. So if they want to talk about how to fix American health care policy, let's do it. The Speaker would love to do it. The Senate Majority Leader would love to do it. Let's work on it together, but let's do it in the context of an open government that's providing essential services to the American people. That's all that we're proposing to do, and the fact that they refuse to do that shows how unreasonable their position is. I think we're headed to a shutdown because the Democrats won't do the right thing. I hope they change their mind, but we're going to see. I'll let the Speaker say a few words.
And we have a shutdown. And the funny thing is, I think this is going to majorly backfire, but we're going to get into that later on in the video. There was one Democrat, though, at least, that was breaking rank. And I'm sure you guys won't be surprised at who it actually was. Check it out.
Hi, this evening I just voted for 2 CRs tonight. And the first one votes to affirm that we would like to extend the ACA tax credits because, of course, I voted for health care. The second vote is about making sure that we keep our government open. And I did vote for that because I think it's a sad event if we shut our government down later today. So for me, our nation doesn't believe that kinds of chaos. Now, for me, it's about more over the country, not the party in this kinds of moments just like this.
So I'm sure you guys are not surprised by who that was, breaking ranks from his Democrat buddies, John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, I believe Pennsylvania, yes. Now, the bill passed the House, but it did not pass the Senate. You know, because obviously in the Senate, we need 60 votes. I believe we only have 54 or 53 Republicans in the Senate. So didn't have the 60 number, which is also another reason why midterms are going to be important next year, guys. Another reason why it's important. You know, obviously, the more numbers we have, the easier we can get bills passed. And obviously, the more leverage we have when these bills do come up. But oh, man, the sticking point in this entire situation is Democrats wanting illegals to have their health care covered, okay? And obviously Republicans said HE double hockey sticks no. But now Democrats are on a tour, right? Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, you know, all the Democrats, they're all trying to deny it. But, you know, there's something that's funny that actually happens, and I've said this before. If you sit back and you let Democrats speak, sometimes they will actually tell you the truth. And that is exactly what happened with one of the wicked witches of the West, Maxine Waters. Take a close listen to what she says in response to this question. Check it out.
Do Democrats want to prioritize the health care of illegal aliens over a government shutdown? Because if the government does shut down, American
Excuse
employees are going
me,
to be furloughed.
stop it right there. We're not prioritizing What we're doing is saying simply we want to keep the government open, and we want to work with the Republicans and have a bipartisan agreement to keep this government open, and health care is at the top of our agenda.
But aren't Democrats demanding health care for illegal aliens?
Democrats are demanding health care for everybody. Democrats are demanding health care for everybody. Democrats are demanding health care for everybody. We want to save lives. We want to make sure that health care is available to those who would die, but having the help of their government.
So you're good with the government shutdown?
Democrats want health care for everybody. Interesting you say that, Maxine. Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you for letting that truth slip out. I'm sure she probably had a meeting with Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer after this clip went absolutely viral online. It has over 1 million views. Over 1 million views. I'm sure she was told, hey, just keep your mouth shut. Democrats want health care for everybody? Okay. Everybody includes illegals. So, you know. And actually, it's quite interesting as well, because you guys remember back in 2019 when Democrats said that they wanted to give free health care to illegals? No? Well, if you don't, well, you're in luck. I got the clip. Check it out.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants. Okay. Let me...
That's every single Democrat on that stage. If your government plan would provide health care for undocumented immigrants, every single person up there on the stage raised their hand. And now they're denying, oh no, we don't want to give health care to illegals. Really? And their excuse, their reasoning is always, or they always throw out the, well, under federal law, under federal law, it's not legal to give health care to illegals. Okay. You think I believe that? Or you think I don't understand the game that you're playing? Right? I understand that there's always loopholes to everything. You think I'm slow enough to believe, or any of us are slow enough to believe, that Democrats haven't figured out the loopholes to the system? Plus, in a lot of these states like California, they do it. We've seen it. It's been proven. So what are we talking about? Anyway. Democrats are in trouble, man.
Make of this New York Times Siena College poll, Frank, that shows President Trump's approval rating largely unchanged since April, yes, but those groups, some of which you just named, that propelled his campaign last year, Hispanic voters, voters under 30, his net approval has dropped significantly. Should he be concerned about that?
He should be concerned about it, and the Democrats should be concerned because their numbers have dropped even further. When you ask about how well Donald Trump has handled some of these issues, he gets lukewarm, mediocre, sometimes even a little bit negative evaluations. But more impactfully for this election, the Democrats are doing even worse. So basically, there's disappointment with the White House. There is annoyance with the Democratic opposition. And if you ask me who's in a better position, I would say to you that history says the Democrats should win. But based on where things stand right now, you have to give the Republicans the edge, even with a shutdown that could happen tonight.
Yeah. I can't remember. What's that guy's name? Did it say his name in the Cairo? No, it didn't. I forgot his name. I can't think of his name right now. But anyway, there you have it. So even with this looming, well, at the time it was a looming shutdown. Now we're actually in a shutdown. While they say Trump's approval ratings, right, which I don't necessarily believe these numbers, but let's run with it, right? Let's run with it. They say Trump's approval rating has dropped with all of the chaos and everything going on. But also at the same time, Democrats have dropped even further. And I don't know if you guys remember, they were already at a record low. They were at their lowest point in, I believe it was 20 or 30 years in terms of approval rating. So if it's dropped even further, how do they stand a chance to win? And he's correct. Based on history, it would say, we would assume, or could safely assume, that Democrats would win the midterms. But based on what we're seeing right now, that ain't gonna play out. That ain't gonna play out. You know, this is a very interesting time to be involved in politics. It really is, because we're looking at a Democrat Party that is stuck between a rock and a hard place. Genuinely, because on one side they have their rabid base, the super far left that they're gonna need in order to win an election, but then on the other side they have us, where we ain't voting for them. You know what I mean? So it's like, what do they do? What do they do? What do the establishment folks, right? The Chuck Schumers, the Nancy Pelosi's, and those guys, what do they do? What do they do? This is all going to be really quite interesting, especially after, you know, they lose in the midterms. It's going to be interesting to watch their reactions to that. It's going to be super, super interesting to see their reactions to losing the 2028 election as well. This is just all going to be super interesting, you know, with all of this mainstream media, you know, like this is going to be very entertaining, very, very entertaining. And hey, listen, I think we may see a switch in mainstream media as well in terms of like their fairness and coverage. We may eventually see a shift, because eventually, right, one, their ratings are absolutely tanking still to this day. So the revenue is dropping, but then also, right, their viewership is tanking, but then also they'll realize, well, this ain't working. We've lost the 24 election. Now we lost the midterms. We just lost the 28 election. Like, what we're doing isn't working, you know? So, hey, listen, we may see a flip in mainstream media as well, but what do y'all think, man? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I got some more clips that I want to talk about involving, man, I'm just going to put it in a separate video, because this is going to get way too long. I got a lot more stuff to say about this, because it's pretty crazy, man. But anyway, thanks for tuning in as always. Y'all stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.